Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Coach's Box. I'm your host, Rich Lambourne, and this is a very special episode in that we are out of the warehouse. We're on the sands of Stadium Court here at the AVP Champions Cup Series in Long Beach. And I'm joined by a very special guest. You're a CIF champion and MVP from Santa Monica High School. You're going into your 7th season as head coach at Long Beach State of the women's beach volleyball program there. You're the head coach of Chase Buttinger and Kame Schulk, and also Amanda Dowdy and Zana Muno on the AVP Tour. You're a husband, you're a father.
Yes.
You're Mikey Campbell. Thanks for joining us, Mikey.
Absolutely. Stoked to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Really excited. AVP Beach putting on these events. It's been a great 3 weeks here, and hopefully I can share some information, answer some questions, and get the fans what they want to know.
We've been properly screened. We got our orange bracelets on.
Yep.
We're ready to rock and roll here. The way we like to do things on the Coach's Box is kind of field questions from the viewers, see what they're interested in knowing. But first of all, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
All right, I'm ready.
As a coach myself, I'm always trying to learn and be better at the craft. And you're certainly one of the best in the game right now, I think. One of the things that I find interesting, since you have such a wide range of people you coach, is how does working with a women's collegiate team differ from working with professional teams?
Yeah, so the college environment, you know, is similar but different in the sense that you've got 5 pairs that you have to manage. So the sport is very complex in the sense we run all 5 of those duels at once. And so with 3 coaches, 5 duels, you kind of have to pick your spot as a coach where you're going to go. So you end up getting a lot of fragmentation. You get a lot of, you know, a set here, and then you jump to your twos pair, check in on them, make sure they're sticking to game plan, succeeding. You know, you're trying to find 3 wins out of those 5 matches to win the duel. So that fragmentation, you know, it's very hard as a coach to stay present, to, you know, stay in line with what's happening. Obviously, as you know, this is a chess game we're playing. And so as I step away from one court, the chessboard changes. As I come back to the other, now I'm looking at a different game going on. So that's been a very big challenge, and I don't want to insert myself too much, because as you're aware, on the FIVB, all these players go on and they need to be pretty autonomous. They need to be making some decisions on their own. So on the college side, we try to do a lot of prep. A lot of that prep is done with coaches, watching film, putting together a scouting report, some type of game plan, plan A, plan B, if they can handle it, maybe even a plan C. And then we see what happens. Now, on the AVP, the professional side, it's a little bit different, right? These are professional athletes. They do a lot of their prep on their own. We will meet, we'll watch video, we'll come up with a game plan. But you know, those players are a little bit more self-managed. So the environment changes, right? So as a coach, it's a lot more congruent. I can sit here, I can kind of track very thoroughly how our strategy is doing, if we need to make any adjustments. With the new coaching rules, I'm able to, you know, step right up to the line and let them know, hey, let's try this, let's change up a serving strategy, let's go at someone else. So that's been fun to work through some of that with the guys.
Now, much like my mom favored my youngest sister my entire childhood, do you find yourself having to fight off having favorites within that 5-team group? And kind of like giving more of your emphasis to one team over another?
Yeah, you'd think, but you know, it's actually pretty unique. The way I run practice, it's all like a competitive cauldron. It's all workup courts. So I'm getting to work with a lot of different athletes. You know, basically it's all about competition. Whoever's competing is moving up on courts. So I end up working pretty uniformly with every player in practice.
And do you choose the partnerships, or do they sort of materialize organically? How does that work?
Yeah, so we again, something unique I think to our program is we'll mix it up a lot. In any given season, we'll probably have 10 different lineups.
Okay.
And the reason I do that, I think it's great from a leadership standpoint to let some of my more cerebral, higher IQ players mentor some of the others, because we have a lot of various skill levels. We recruit a very large team. We have crossover athletes that come from indoor, and that have pretty much their exposure to beach volleyball is watching the AVP and maybe playing with friends. You know what I mean? So they've never done it in a competitive environment, but they're great athletes. So we rely on some of the mentorship. So from a leadership point of view, I love switching up the lineup. I think it's just a dynamic way to train and teach throughout. So I now have my 2 assistant coaches, myself, and a series of other coaches mentoring. And the other reason I like it is just it prepares us for what might happen in a tournament. You know, if there's an injury, we're not the type of program that has the depth that just goes, oh, let's just sub in another top ones player. You know, I would have to break up every single consecutive pair below them, and now we'd have 5 new pairs. So just to kind of prep for that, also I like switching up the partnerships quite a bit.
Percentage-wise, if you were assigning percentages to kind of how much of your job is teaching the game of volleyball at the collegiate level versus the pro level, you know, just by way of example, with my guys, I don't feel like I'm teaching the skills of volleyball all that much. It's more of a fine-tuning kind of a thing. But I imagine with collegiate athletes, especially some who are relatively new to the game, there's a lot of kind of fundamentals training that goes into your job.
Yeah, I think it's probably a very inverse relationship, right? At the college level, it's probably 90-10. 90% teaching, 10% maybe just communication, game plan stuff, a little bit more tactical, right? And then on the pro side, it's probably the opposite. It's probably 10%, maybe I can help with a serve toss, or maybe I can help with a little bit of footwork, or just something. I'm a little bit more technical just in my nature, so I can provide a little bit of guidance there, but I can't change these drastic mechanical things that they've done up to this point. You know, if these are 30-year-old athletes, they've done it for over half their life. Right. Trying to change that, I think I'd have to have quite the ego to think I could do that. So I try to let them and work with what they're doing, and then just try to, you know, heighten other areas of their game.
Awesome. So let's focus on kind of the AVP side of it. You mentioned some of the coaching rules have changed this year and that you can be a lot more interactive with your players during a match. And certainly it's unique that we're able to be in the box, hence the coach's box, right? Yeah. With our players during the entirety of a match. What does a Mikey Campbell timeout look like? What kind of information am I going to get?
Well, are we winning or are we losing?
Let's start with we're behind. We called the timeout. We're behind a little bit.
With this new capacity of being able to give information, too much information is sometimes bad.
Sure.
You know, so in those timeouts when we're behind, it's more about, hey, let's settle in. Let's try to loosen up a little bit. We're behind. We've got nothing to lose at this point. Let's try to chip away here 1 or 2 points at a time. Cam and Chase are very different stylistically, so if I need to maybe pull one aside, give them a little more information, usually that'd be Chase. Chase is a little bit more cerebral in the sense that he can handle lots of information. Sure. I think that might come from his background playing in the NBA. I'm not quite sure why, but as I get to know him better, I've learned he can handle some of that. So sometimes I'll give him a little extra on maybe a blocking assignment, or give him a little more freedom to try to make a play, you know, if they're out of system. If we're winning, usually those timeouts are a little bit different, right? They're a little bit me just kind of relaxing, just reminding them, let's stay present, let's worry about our pass and set, let's keep serving tough, you know, stick to the game plan, stuff like that.
How much do you get into personality management?
Lately, a lot. I think with a new partnership with these guys, every match, and especially in this Champions Cup, these are very high-level matches. Every single match is competitive. So there's a lot of, you'll start seeing, you know, habitual action will start happening, right? A player that's internalizing and maybe not communicating as well, we might see more of that. We might need to manage that a little bit. Hey, let's communicate, let's have a good dialogue, let's keep resetting. You know, we want to hang on to points of past. It could absolutely be a parasite for the next, you know, series of points. And as we just talked about, these games are coming down to 1 or 2 points, you know, so we need to be on every single point, and that's a lot of pressure. I think it's a great environment. It really, you know, as a professional athlete, it puts you right on the spot and goes, hey, bring your best today. Let's see what you got.
Okay, so Mikey, the way we like to do things here is we field questions from the audience. They've usually got some great insight, like, what do I feed my guns? I know you were a fan of that question, right?
That one and the frosty tips.
The frosted tips had to go away in quarantine. I couldn't see my barber as much. It was a sad day. It was a sad day. But we've got a legitimate question here as well that we'll go to.
Hey Rich, I'm Brad, and I'm interested to hear how some of the bigger, more aggressive block moves are being taught now. And curious if there's any cues or keys, and if there's any time situationally, tactically that might be employed. And also want to say thank you to you and the players, and to the AVP and Donald Son in particular, for making the Champions Cup Series happen these last 3 weeks. It's been really great to watch live volleyball again, and just wish you all the very best. Stay well. Bye now.
Awesome. I don't know if you're like me where he said his name first, which I'm pretty sure was Brad, but
Yes.
then as he started talking, I became less and less sure of that.
It's Brad.
It's Brad.
I
Okay.
got it.
Brad, thank you so much for your question, and we appreciate you supporting the AVP in this Champions Cup Series, of course. Bigger, more aggressive block moves, which I'm going to interpret that as kind of the 3s and 4s, as it were.
Maybe outside the body a little
Outside
bit.
the body. How do you approach that with your squad?
I think it's all about timing. I think timing is the biggest thing. You do it too early, you show it, right? And then it just becomes an easy shot over the block. I think situational, if it's in system, you're going to wait a little bit longer, try to leverage that open space, and then try to take it away on contact, if not just before. We definitely want to be solid on those moves. We don't want to be delaying on those. So I think timing comes down on in system. You want to be just before contact making that move, getting that inside hand if it's a 4, or maybe your outside hand if it's a 3. And then if it's out of system, maybe it's a little bit more delayed, but still getting the penetration across the net so you can take away more angle than, horizontal angle than vertical angle.
So you're talking a lot with your blockers cue-wise about their hand position and kind of their reach, and then some timing stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's big for my guys. Obviously, timing and trying to deceive the offensive player as much as possible is our goal with blocking, right? And then one of the things that we talk about a lot is getting a neutral stack, by which I mean offensive players are so good nowadays, right, that you brought up you can't give away your position too early, right? And if I'm making a big diving blocking move, I can tend to lean, right, which is a giveaway to a good offensive player as to what I'm doing. So if I can get kind of a neutral stack and jump here and then reach that way, or jump here and reach that way, I can at least make things look similar and sort of deceive the offensive player a little bit more, right?
Yeah. Now, I know you're a libero. You probably took a lot of swings and hitting lines against no block.
Against no block.
But I had a block in front of me, and typically you feel the blocker first. So I think you're right. I think as soon as that blocker starts leaning, when I'm jumping, I can kind of spot that in my peripherals.
Okay.
So I think that's a good point that people should know is that stack. I think that's also, I might steal that term.
Okay.
I'll give you credit.
Yeah. Well, now, I just have to rewind a little bit, because I'm not sure if you've seen previous episodes of the Coach's Box, but I was referred to by one of the viewers as an adequate hitter.
I would say adequate.
Okay, yeah.
Adequate is a good term. It basically means close my eyes and hit as hard as I can.
Right.
Okay, fair.
Adequate was the height of what I achieved hitting-wise, yeah.
Break a couple fingers, blow a couple people up, and we'll call it adequate.
All right, Brad, we thank you very much for your question. Hopefully that answered what you were looking for as far as the blocking move training that we do with our respective teams. Mikey, it's kind of short and sweet. We got to know each other a little bit, got to talk some style, coaching-wise. Got anything else you'd like to share with us here before we go?
No,
Before we wrap
just
up?
extremely thankful to the AVP for making these tournaments happen, and to the players, keeping all the players safe. I'm just fortunate to be here, and thank you guys for bringing me in, Rich and AVP, and hopefully we get some good information from this to the fans.
Yeah, it's nice to be in an actual Coach's Box. We got outside, we got out of the warehouse, onto stadium court here. It's nice to see the big banners up behind us. We got the Amazon booth over there. It's weird to look up there and not see DJ Roche and hear the tunes spinning, but it's been short, it's been sweet, but it's been great. And again, thank you to Donald Son and the AVP for putting on this wonderful series. And I know I feel very fortunate, I'm sure Mikey you do as well, to just be participating and to be a member of the AVP family. That'll do it for episode 3 of the Coach's Box presented by Monster Hydro. I'm Rich Lambourne. Please continue to send us your questions, comments, feedback, and we will see you on future episodes.